Now it's time to unveil Time Magazine's pick for the Person of the Year. The criteria, someone who, for better or worse, has done the most to influence and affect our lives. Rick Stengel is Time's managing editor. Rick, always good to have you here. Good morning.
Good to see you.
Don't give us the name yet, all right? So let's take a look at some of the names that made the final list, the people you deliberated about in the final hours. Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, Admiral William McRaven, who was the commander of the Navy SEAL Team 6 raid that took out Osama bin Laden, Congressman Paul Ryan, Chinese artist Ai Weiwei, and you also included a conceptual option, the protester, kind of a nameless, faceless protester. Take us through some of those options.
Well, Admiral McRaven captured bin Laden, and the Duchess of Windsor captured our hearts. They represent people who affected us in one way or another, who swayed the conversation, captured our imagination, and it kind of represents a gamut from Weiwei, the protester, to the Duchess, who's a more popular choice, to McRaven, who did something extraordinary in kind of changing the destiny of our fight against al-Qaeda.
Some people might wonder, not in your top five, Steve Jobs, Gabby Giffords, were they somewhere else on the list?
Well, actually, Gabby Giffords is in the magazine. We did a internet interview with her, an email interview. Steve Jobs is at the beginning of our farewell section, where we say goodbye to people who left us during the course of the year. A lot of discussion about Steve Jobs. It's not a Lifetime Achievement Award, and Steve, is someone I venerate, but it wasn't really a year where he transformed anything.
When it came down to the final voting, Rick, how was it a unanimous choice? Was there a lot of disagreement? Did you have to step in and make the final decision? How did it go?
There was a lot of consensus among our people, among our correspondents and editors. People felt that this was the best choice, the most serious choice, and so it actually felt right and good.
All right. So I'm assuming that you are ready. You have a magazine in your lap. And understanding that the criteria is someone who has influenced the past year may also influence the year ahead by your criteria.
Right. I like to choose somebody who actually does influence the year ahead. And our Person of the Year for 2011 is the protester. The men and women around the world, but particularly in the Middle East, who toppled governments, who brought a sense of democracy and dignity to people who hadn't had it before. And I think, speaking of the year ahead, these are folks who are going to they are changing history already, and they will change history in the future.
And you think about what they did in the Arab Spring with Gaddafi gone and Hosni Mubarak put on trial, and you look about how that region literally transformed in a matter of 6 months.
Right, and you've all reported from there. I mean, there was no movement there. We thought these dictators are not going to be toppled, and then these people who risked their lives, risked their livelihoods to go out there and brought about change that nobody had expected. It really is it's a transformational thing, and I think it is changing the world for the better.
Are there links between what had happened in the Arab Spring and what happened 2 years earlier, actually, in Iran with the Green Movement that was suppressed, and also what's happening now on Wall Street and all across this country, and even over the weekend in Russia? I mean, there seems to be this kind of global protest.
Different grievances.
There's this contagion of protest. In fact, the story written by Kurt Anderson brings together all those strands, because Iran prefigured what was going to happen in the Arab world, and then what happened in the Arab world did influence Occupy Wall Street and Occupy Oakland and the protests in Greece and Madrid. All of the protests we talked to, and our correspondents fanned out around the world, they all talked about how they'd been influenced by other protests and how social media brought all of that closer. And it's really an extraordinary combination of demography and technology that brought about this change.
So again, just if you missed it a second ago, Time Magazine's Person of the Year for 2011 is the protester. As always, Rick Stengel, it's good to have you here. Thanks for revealing it here on the show.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. And by the way, the issue is available online today. It hits newsstands on Friday.